could call this morning's subject happiness. What is happiness? But the title isn't important. God did seem in the night, I think Thursday night, to make a phrase real to me, though like so many other things you wonder what did he say to you, but it certainly was very real when it seemed Jesus spoke it himself, to me. And it's the phrase in John chapter 15, if you like to look at it. And it's the last verse that we read, John 15 and verse 11, and it isn't even the first part of it, though Jesus does say, after he says, abide in me and I am the vine and you are the branches, he then says, these things I have spoken to you. That is, all those things that I've just said, I've spoken to you. But what he seemed to say to me somewhere in the twilight hours or in the middle of the night, that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. And it just seemed to come so vividly to me that that's why I'm saying it this morning, because I want to share what God says and not what I say. That my joy may be in you and that your joy may be full. And it seemed obvious to me that he was saying, the joy that I have, that's the joy that is to be in you, my joy. And then your joy, your own joy, will be full. And that's the way our life will work together. And I looked up in the Greek, the word for joy, and it's, I think it's chara, C-H-A-R-A in English, and it means cheerfulness or a calm delight. So, of course, it's not whoopity-whoop joy, but it's just a calm delight that is always with you, whatever. And Jesus is saying, that is the joy that I have. And that is the joy that is in you if you are in me, and you are in me. So that's the joy that you will have, my joy. I think our trouble is that we've been used to eating the food that the swine eat. I think we've been used to make-do joys, so that we're almost addicts to those joys. And not only addicts, but it's a bit the same story as they found in introducing instant coffee here in America. Eventually, Americans would start saying that isn't real coffee, because they got so used to instant coffee that when somebody brewed coffee, they thought, oh, that isn't real coffee. It's a bit like that. We get so used to the substitute joys that we can't conceive of the real joy, and often the real joy doesn't seem terribly joyful to us, in spite of the fact that the substitute joys that we have turn out to be very superficial and shallow and transient too. But we kind of get used to them and we get addicted to them. And so this joy that Jesus talks about at first sight seems kind of boring, well, a calm delight, that's what it is, Indeed, one of the definitions is cheerfulness, and we kind of think, oh, cheerful. We used to have a program on English radio, and this person used to say, oh, it's being so cheerful keeps me going, and of course he wasn't cheerful at all. And so often we think of cheerfulness as kind of, oh yeah, keep your heart up, be as happy as you can. And so often we think of cheerfulness or calm delight as, well, it's okay, but it's not nearly as wonderful as great football match or an exciting ride on water skis or all the other wonderful things we could do here on earth. And so I think that a great deal of our difficulty in finally going for Jesus' joy is we do have so many other joys that we've kind of got used to. And yet we know in our hearts, we do know that they are often based on no reality. And they are often based on just the fact that this experience is new to us. So Paris is exciting the first time you see it, but you get used to it after a while. And so many of what we call joys are kind of transient things that are almost more dependent on the surprise factor than on any real deep reality that is in them. And so we know in our own hearts that the joys that we've got used to don't actually succeed in helping us when life gets hard. But we are used to them. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have difficulty with this joy that Jesus talks about. His joy is absolutely and utterly different from what we in this fallen world call joy. And what I saw was part of our difficulty is right there. We keep thinking, oh, well, surely the things that we think of as joy, surely there is some element of real joy in them. Well, I think there isn't. I think probably there isn't.